Hello students, myself Dr. Divya, Assistant Professor at Department of Chemistry, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So in this session, we will discuss the question bank tutorial, how to answer the questions that are present for the natural resources and environmental pollution. So here we have the first one. What kind of energy do we get from sun? Explain how we convert solar energy into electricity. So what kind of energy do we really get from sun that we are exposing daily? Like it is the sunlight. So sunlight has a lot of energy that can be used for generating electricity. So solar technologies are the photovoltaics is something that works on the principle of photoelectric effect, so that converts the sunlight into electrical energy through these photovoltaic panels and through mirrors that concentrate solar radiation. So there are two types of converting this solar energy into electricity and also thermal energy. So in this way we use it for different applications and generate the electricity. So this energy can be used to generate electricity or to be stored in batteries or thermal storage. So photovoltaic panels or mirrors are used to concentrate the solar radiation that is we are getting from the sun and convert it into electricity, convert it into electricity through the PN junction formation by semiconductors. So this is nothing but the photovoltaic cells are used wherein P and N type semiconductor materials are used, that is having a function are the that separates the charge carriers that are producing. So that is nothing but the flow of electrons, and that electrons is nothing but the energy that is coming out as electricity. So this is how the conversion of solar energy into electricity is done. So depending on the question that they give, we have to answer whether concisely or in the expanded form. So here it is in the short answer. So we just need to write solar technologies convert this sunlight into electrical energy through these photovoltaic panels or mirrors that concentrate. So this is sufficient for that. Next, explain how groundwater in many places in India become contaminated with fluoride and arsenic. So this is even seen in one of our areas in Telangana like Nagar, Nalgonda, etc., wherein high content of fluoride is present in the groundwater. So this is because of the fluoride bearing minerals or the ores that are present in the earth crust. So that leaches into the water and forms high fluoride content. So this will affect the health a lot because that will go into the health effects causing fluorosis. So some natural or human made are also like because of effluence from the industry also causes this dumping of fluorides or arsenic heavy metals into the water, causing them contaminated. So otherwise the natural one is the fluoride bearing minerals that are present in the earth crust leaching into the natural process soil and therefore into the water again. And one more reason is the volcanic activity also releases gaseous fluorine into the groundwater. Gaseous fluorine, once the volcano is coming out, the gaseous fluorine comes out and that mixes with the groundwater, the surface water, whatever is present nearby to that volcano. So this is how there is a lot of contamination of fluoride or arsenic happens in both the ways, like natural processes and human made. So in our areas, like generally in India, it happens through the fluoride bearing minerals that are present in the earth's crust. Next, explain how water becomes a renewable resource. What are the effects of overexploitation of water resources? So this is a long answer. So for that we have to expand properly. So how does this really form? Because 70% of our earth is composed of water, is covered with water. So here what happens, there is a condensation from the clouds, and it comes onto the earth like rain. After rain, it percolates into the groundwater and forms the groundwater. Then there's another like a traveling water, that is nothing but the surface water, river water. And in the summer, once it is evaporating, it forms the clouds again. So this again condensation takes place and the rain. This is the water cycle, whatever is there, or the hydrological cycle that happens. So this is really the renewable resource that is never ending process is happening and is always available for the human. So this is how it becomes the renewable resource. And what are the real effects that we is on the society and also human due to the over exploitation? So that will lower the water table. What is this lowering of water table? It is like the water content will be less. Water content goes down, goes down in the ground. So that is how the lowering of water table takes place. And it is very important that too many borewells are not digged to take out the water, so that the water table can be maintained. That is some of the precautions that we can really take it into consideration. Then increased cost. Whenever there is a demand, the cost will increase for that particular product. In the same way, in water case also, now we are buying drinking water, but once upon a time it's not like we are buying, we are directly having it from the lakes. Why? Because that is the purity of lake water we had before, purity of lake or river water that we had before, but now it is contaminated. Whenever it is contaminated, disinfection process and everything is add-on cost for that particular water, and therefore the cost of water also increases. Next, reduced surface water supplies, because whenever there is a over exploitation, the surface water is also used for many purposes, and therefore this water is reducing in the water table, or the surface water is getting reduced. Then land subsidence. So whenever there is exploitation of this water, even the subsidence of land takes place, so that also affects the land degradation and also other processes that are naturally occurring. And then water quality concerns. So they have already mentioned that industrial effluents have a lot of effect on these effluents from industries. Whenever they are discharged into the water bodies, will cause toxic chemicals that are mixed in water, that lowers the quality of water. So the surface water definitely is going to affect because of this. So you have to mention in that like water quality will go down because of these over exploitation also. So whenever there is over exploitation, the leaching and mixing up of other contaminants also will take place. So these are the different points that requires a mention, and expand it accordingly and give an answer for next. Describe briefly droughts and floods with respect to their occurrence and impact. So droughts and floods, this is over excess of water, and here no water. How is this really happening? Because of environmental effects that are present. So their occurrence, how they occur, and what are the impacts on the human and the society is also very important. So a flood is an overflow of water whenever the magnitude of flow of water exceeds the carrying capacity of the channels within these banks. So whenever there is a flow of water and it is exceeding its exceeding capacity, it is nothing but the flood, causing floods. Whenever there is a heavy rainfall and we have very less space to storage, it becomes a flood. Okay, so the causes for this is deforestation, that is cutting down of forests, overgrazing, grazing of animals over the plants, mining of ore, metals, and etc. Rapid industrialization, constructing buildings and industries. So what happens in this case? The space is occupied, so there is very less space for the water to percolate into the ground. So whenever there is no land to percolate, what happens to the water? No land available for percolation, then it overflows onto the roads. Then it overflows onto the road. That is causing nothing but the floods. That is how the industrial areas or the urban areas will have flooding more even for a small amount of rainfall. Then global warming because of chlorofluorocarbons that are released from the air conditioners or automobiles, like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, or H2S gases from various industries. All these are causing global warming on depleting these ozone layer. So whenever there is a depletion of ozone layer, the climatic condition changes, and the rainfall is also inadequate or overly coming out. So this is how there is always effect on the water, that is condensation and coming out as a rainfall. So all these has to be going on hand to hand so that it gets minimized. These have also contributed largely to the sharp rise in the incidence of floods, which otherwise is called as natural disaster. So whenever there is a heavy rainfall immediately, like after, within no time, that is really a natural disaster that is happening, and we are contributing in these ways, like deforestation, overgrazing, mining, rapid industrialization, and global warming. So what are the impacts? So what happens really? So whenever there are floods, there is a lot of loss in the crops. Standing crops like rice, wheat, maize, etc. Will be washed away by this rainwater or the flood water. So that is a big loss to the government and also for the farmers. And whenever there is a loss of these crops, the livelihood will affect because no food available, sufficient food will be available to the people. So that is how the livelihood will be affected. The loss of degradation of farmland, the farmland also affects because if there is any fertilizers that are washed away with these, and they degrade the land. Okay, then health issues or effect on the water quality. This flooded water, whenever is consumed by humans or used for any other purpose, will cause diseases. So therefore, it is because of the quality that is going low in the water because of flood, and then that causes the health issues. So these are all interlinked. So this is the highest affected: standing crops damage and water quality. Whenever the crops damage, the livelihood is affected because of food availability, and whenever there is a quality effect in the water, the health is affecting. Obviously the human is going to affect, will have a lot of impact because of these two. So this is how there is effect on human livelihood because of floods that are happening. Next, drought. Drought is scarcity of water. So drought occurs due to inadequate rainfall. So no rainfall. So whenever there is no rainfall, this is how the land is cracked. So no rainfall, the heat, the land gets heated up and gets cracked. So late arrival of rains is also one of the reason for scarcity of water. Whenever there is a late arrival of rains in the rainy season, the crops will not get sufficient water. No sufficient water to crops on time. So on time is very important because the cropping has some timings for their plantation, and also therefore sufficient water should be present during the plantation. So if the late arrival of rains happens, it has a lot of effect on these crops. Then excessive withdrawal of groundwater. Whenever there is excessive withdrawal of groundwater by bore wells digging nearby, then the scarcity happens because everyone keep on taking out the water, and the groundwater or the water table goes lower. The scarcity of water for normal needs of agriculture, livestock, industry, or human population may be termed as drought. So all these affecting on agriculture, livestock industry, or any of the human population is nothing but the drought condition that is happening in that particular country. Then drought is understood from dry weather which persists longer enough to produce a serious hydrological imbalance. So we have seen what is this hydrological imbalance, wherein there is a precipitation, condensation, and again evaporation taking place. So that imbalance happens. There is an imbalance happening because whenever there is drought condition, no water to evaporate into the sky. So that is how the imbalance starts. That leads to damage of plants, animals, and human life. So these are the different effects of drought conditions that is because of scarcity of water. What are the advantages of hydropower? How energy is generated in hydroelectric power plant? So hydropower is nothing but power obtained from water power from water resource. Okay. So a power source is used to spin a turbine. A turbine will be present though, so this power source will be used to spin the turbine, basically a propeller, which is in turn spins a metal shaft, forming equivalent of an electrical generator that produces and stores electricity. The force of water is very high. Force of water helps a lot in producing this electricity by spinning this turbine. So this, whenever there is a spin in the turbine, the propeller will spin the shaft that is present. So the spinning takes place and that produces energy or electricity. Okay, so the power source in the case of hydropower is water itself. So every thing has its own force acting upon. So here the power source is nothing but the force of water, that is present. So that will help in spinning the turbine. So when water is moves a turbine spins, and electromagnets in the turbine generates the electricity or the electric current in the stationary coils of wires inside them. So this is how the hydropower generation is happening. Why is it really advantageous? Because it is like renewable resource is used here. Renewable resource is used. Water is a renewable resource, so the power that is generated is a lifelong process or the continuous process. We always have the facility of water, so there is no there not be any shutdowns to that power plant. So that is the advantages of this power plant. So if you see more, hydropower is fueled by water, so it is a clean force. So for example, if we take coal, the distillation process and all will give out many gases, but here it is a clean source for the fuel. So hydropower doesn't pollute the air like power plants that burn fossil fuels such as coal or natural gas. So that will not even pollute the any of the power plants or the fossil fuels like coal or natural gas that have already discussed. Then hydropower is a domestic source of energy produced in the United States. Why? Because they have lot of water, because they have a lot of waterfalls are there, so they are like doing this hydropower generation is very high in the countries, in the northern countries or European countries, because of these waterfalls that are available, and when compared to the Asian. Hydropower is generally available as needed, and engineers can control the flow of water through the turbines to produce electricity on demand. So the control on the flow of water is also easier, because we generally construct the dams and reservoirs. So the power generations or these hydropower plants are generally placed near these power generation stations. So in our state, like we have power generation stations at Srisailam and Nagarjuna, like different power stations. Using this hydropower like water, the power is generated. Hydropower plants benefits in addition to clean electricity. It provides like this is like producing out clean electricity, so that is a beneficial thing. And other benefits may include water supply and flood control. By how the flood control is happening? Because we are reserving this water in the reservoirs or dams for the power generation. So that is how the flood is also controlled. Next, what are the various methods of to control water pollution in industries? So industries will have water pollution, like they will produce toxic substances or the byproducts that is coming out from the manufacturing industry. So whenever they are mixed to water, that will cause pollution to water resources. So how what are the different methods that has to be implemented to avoid this pollution of water is important. Industries can contribute in preventing water pollution by treating the industrial waste water effluents in a wastewater treatment plant before dumping. Like every industry has the certification, so before certification the agencies will check for these water treatment plants. So this is very important, because just dumping out is not really accepted. So that requires audit waste streams. So whenever there is an industry, there is outlet of wastewater coming out. So there is a stream of this water coming out. So we need to audit those streams or check it in sequence manner, or do it in different regular intervals, so that the water goes in a proper channel. Then review and update current waste management procedures. Waste management procedures are also very important, wherein we have to be updated in that and just implement the same in the company or the industries. Then improve hazardous waste management. So the recycling of hazardous waste before they are dumping is also very important, especially the medical and the pharma waste that is coming out is causing a lot of problem to the environment. So it is like always better like recycling it before they are sent out into the dumping yards. So this hazardous waste management includes all the branches like any industries, all the industries like metallic or the metallurgical industries or biomedical, medical and biological waste that is coming out, then pharma, hospital waste, everything is covered. So the management of this waste is also important. Integrate waste management technologies. So this is also very important, wherein the proper disposal of different types of waste is need to be given an awareness to the employees also. Then set measures for site remediation. So whenever they are throwing it in the dump yards or the streams that is coming out from the industries, the particular remediation must be done, that is clean up or taking off the metal or the hazardous metals or any other type of hazardous things from that waste is important. Decontaminate equipment. So whenever we are using the equipment for throwing out or discarding, then decontamination process or the removal of this contamination is also must be taken into consideration to lower this pollution in the water resources. Create a waste minimization plan. So this is very very important. So prevention is better always. So create a waste minimization, minimize the waste, minimize the waste before it is created. So that planning must be done in any industries and get an awareness to the different employees that are working within that industries. So these are the different ways that we can use in the industries to avoid pollution to the water. Next, water pollutants, how are they classified? So the substance or energy which causes pollution is called pollutant, and two types of pollutants are present: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. Primary pollutants are nothing but some primary gases or any other types of pollutants that are coming out, and secondary are the second stage of that pollutants like byproducts. Next, give an example of primary and secondary pollutants. So primary is carbon monoxide, oxides of sulfur, sulfur dioxide, trioxide, oxides of nitrogen, nitrogen oxide, dioxide, etc., and chlorofluorocarbons from the refrigerants. Then secondary pollutants are ozone, smoke, PAN, and aerosol. So these are like upon reaction with the atmosphere, these secondary pollutants are created. created. So that is how it is from the primary pollutants, the secondary pollutants are forming. So these will affect a lot on the environment. Describe the adverse health effects due to industrial noise. So when does it really called a noise? When it is really very louder to our ears cannot hear to that. So exposure to high levels of noise can cause permanent hearing loss. So that is for sure, like whenever we are exposed to too much of noise will cause hearing loss as the eardrum is affected. Neither surgery nor a hearing aid can help to correct this type of loss. When it is permanent loss, it is like no other surgery or any type of aids, hearing aids can be used. So that is like permanent loss. Short-term exposure to loud noise can also cause a temporary change in the hearing, like stuffed up or ringing in your ears. So these are the some of the health effects to the humans due to high noise or the industrial noise that happens in the industries. Now describe the soil pollution caused by the fertilizers. So we are using fertilizers to give the supplements to the crops, but these, when it becomes excess, the natural supplements from the earth is different, and the chemical supplements what we give is different. So the effect of these chemical supplements will always cause pollution. So they alter the soil chemistry and may make the soil acidic or alkaline in nature. The pH will change, and which adversely affects the soil. So they are non-biodegradable It means they cannot be mixed up with the earth or degrade in the earth soil matter. And hence, excessive leads to soil pollution. They destroy the life present on soil. Life present microorganisms or microbes are destroyed. Sometimes these microbes also helps in making the fertility of soil, for example, earthworms. So all those are destroyed because of excessive use of these fertilizers. So these are the different questions that will appear for the soil, noise, and water resources. Next, noise pollution. What is noise pollution? Mention its sources. Unwanted noise. So, noise or the highest loud noise or the sound is nothing but the noise pollution. So, when it crosses the optimum limit, then it is called as noise pollution. And this noise pollution occurs through different sources. So, there are different sources. Daily we listen to many noises happening. So, it is from the different sources. The sensation of loudness is related to the intensity of energy carried by sound waves and is measured in decibels, units of decibels. For example, if we listen to some sound box or leaves whispering, then it is very low, 30, 40, 50. Till here it is okay. But when it is crossing 80, then it is, when it's more than 80 decibels, then it is pollution. Whenever we are exposed to longer durations longer durations. So if we see, there are different sources here, from the industries, from the household. For example, if we use appliances more, then office noise from the printers or gadgets, anything. Then lawn movers, heavy traffic, motorbikes. Then NECs, the chainsaws that will be used, or the leaf blowers in the gardens, what we use, airplane takeoff, or many other things. Like these are the different sources that are causing both in the domestic life and also the industrial area wherein it is affected a lot. Thank you.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.